Before we even start to learn ancient Greek, we of course need to learn the alphabet. But it's not bad because half of the letters are recognizable. For example, look at this word. Can you read it and figure out its meaning? Biblos. You should practice writing down each word by hand as they are presented. This letter, lambda, sticks up above the other letters just like a lowercase l. That's how we can remember it. And a bibliography is a list of books, right? So this means book. And you can probably guess the next word now that I just said it. Bibliografia. Did you notice though that these letters that look like B's are pronounced sort of between a B and a V? Let's focus on the end of this word now. First we have this letter, gamma, which if you stretch your mind a little, kind of looks like a lowercase g without the round part connected. We have to make sure not to confuse it with a y. And the letter next to it can also be confused with another letter, because this is not a P. This is rho, the Greek version of R. This other letter that also kind of looks like a P with a swooping tail is V, and represents a PH sound. It's because of this letter that we have words in English that contain an F sound but are written with PH. This fact will help us learn Greek because most, if not all of these words came from Greek, like the following. Philosophia. This is philosophy. But wait a second, we already saw a sigma that looked like this. This sigma is only used at the end of words. When we have an S sound that's not at the end, we use this letter in the middle of philosophia. This is also sigma and kind of looks like a rolled up S. I hope you recognize the letter at the beginning of the next word. What is this word? Prologos, which of course means prologue. The letter at the beginning of this word is of course P, or more commonly known as pi, which is used as the mathematical symbol of the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. We have to take a little care to keep these three letters straight because the one that looks the most like a P is the only one that isn't a P. We have P, Rho, and Phi. And what was this letter again? Gamma, a G sound. But it's more of a gargling sound than the English G. Gamma. Try to read this word now. Deca. A decade is how many years? Deca means 10. In this word we have a D and a K. Delta and kappa. But notice the beginning of this word is pronounced just like the English word they. The next word is a little more difficult, but you can probably guess it. Character. The letter chi makes a k sound, and this other letter that looks like an N is actually the vowel eta. This is one of the harder letters to learn, but since it will usually be between two consonants, it's not so difficult to remember that this makes a long A sound. And do you know the letter in the next word? Athenae. This is the city Athens. This letter is theta, which makes a TH sound. But note that this is a different TH sound than the one in delta. The TH in theta sounds like the TH in thing. So we have delta and theta. When you say delta, you make kind of a humming noise. This is called a voiced consonant, similar to the difference between Z and S. Z, S. There's a humming noise in the Z. And this word also contains the Greek letter for N, nu, which looks like a V in lowercase. This is a good word to write a few times in order not to confuse eta and nu. And can you guess whose name this is? It was probably the most important name for the ancient Greeks. Zeus. This is zeta, the Greek letter for Z. And the third letter is also easy to mix up. This is hypsilon. And its sound is made by forming the lips in an O shape and saying E, U. We have to be careful not to confuse this with nu, since these both look like a V. But
nu
has a pointed bottom while
hypsilon
is rounded more like a U. So this first character is an N sound, while the second is a U sound. And what other letter makes an A sound besides the A in Zeus? Eta, eta, and
epsilon
make the same sound. The only difference is the length. Eta is the long version of
epsilon
The next one might be hard to guess unless you recognize that this third letter is the symbol for psychology. Rhapsodia. This character is psi and makes a PS sound. And the other letter next to it that looks like a cross between an O and a W is
omega
and makes an O sound. This is the long version of
omicron
You can remember that it's longer because it looks like two O's strung together.
omicron
And
epsilon
are the only vowels that have a long version. That's a separate letter. The other vowels need a macron in order to distinguish their long and short version. We have just two letters left. Here's the first. Galaxias. This letter is xi. Since this makes an X sound, we have to be careful not to confuse this letter with he, which looks like an X. And the last letter is at the beginning of the next word. Marathon. This is the name of a city in Greece, and now also a race. The best way to learn these letters is to write down the words contained in this lesson a few times and just continue reading. But do you see how easy Greek can be? You already knew all the words in this lesson and could practically read them all. Let's try a few more words before we tackle the capital letters. Europe. This is of course the continent where Greece is located. And can you guess the meaning of the next word? Cardia. This means heart, as in cardiac arrest. And what's this word? Christianos. Christian. Remember, the letter that looks like an X makes a K sound. This is why Christmas is sometimes written Xmas. And what did the letter that sounds like an X look like? Xenophon. This is a Greek male name. The X sound is made by this letter that looks like a cursive
epsilon
and don't confuse this with
epsilon
at the beginning of the next word.
epilogos
Epilogue. And how do we read this next word? Athletes. Athlete. Remember, these letters that look like N's make the same sound as
epsilon
only longer. And finally, how do we pronounce this word? Psyche. Now let's finish by matching the capital letters to their lowercase counterparts. These are really easy. Alpha, beta,
epsilon zeta theta iota kappa lambda mu nu omicron
Pi, Tau, Phi,
Chi
Psi. This leaves us with just a couple difficult ones. Can you guess what letter this is? This is
Rho
And you might know this one already. Delta. And do you know this one? This is Omega. And kind of looks like an O. It gets harder from now on. What's this letter? This is
Eta.
We can remember these because they both kind of look like N's. And this one? We only have one vowel left, so this is
Hypsilon.
This one you might not be able to guess. This is Gamma. These next two look somewhat similar. Which is which? The first is Sigma, which has these two lowercase forms, and the second one is xi, which both kind of look like e's, but remember that this makes an X sound. Okay, here's the entire alphabet, and in the next lesson we'll start learning how to speak Ancient Greek. See you then! If you'd like to support the channel, you can join these members on Patreon, or hit the join button below. Or check out one of these books on Amazon. Everything is linked in the description box below. Thanks!